and I work in the continuity care department. My improvement project is going to be based on handover. I know it's very simple, but it's very complicated as well. Handover is done in Britain, if not the world, 2 to 3 times a day. But despite its frequency, there's a lot of things out. For example, where I work, when I first started, we don't have like a typical handover where you have like a patient history. It's in the nucleus of a handover, you should have a patient history, you have their age, why they're there for. Yes, it's a continuity care department, but if I come in and I don't know what Mrs. A has, caring for this patient is going to be, you're looking at patient safety, you're looking at the standard of care. I don't know. One day, a bank staff nurse came in and we were doing the handover, and she said, who is this patient? We did a normal handover like what we did for the patient, for example, the patient open bowel and continent-wise and so on and forth. But she didn't know this patient and she wasn't having it. And the staff couldn't see why, and everybody said, well, what do you expect? It's a continuity care. It's more or less a routine. But for me, I have spoken to my manager before, and she said, well, we've tried this before, it didn't work. And I said, can I see a template of what we've tried before? And the template was, well, it's so different, because what they had was to write like today, the date, what they did for the patient, but they never had no history. You have to go back to the note and sort for the history of the patient. And sometimes you need to hoist this patient, you don't have the time to go back and read every single thing. And there's no reception, and the receptionist is downstairs. So on the floor where you are, maybe someone is reading in a weakness of him, or you say, oh, what did you do for this patient? And you can't keep on saying, I don't know, can I go and find out the information? So on embarking this project back again, I spoke to my manager again and said, something happened, I'm not going to go in details because it's due to the confidentiality. And the safety of this patient was really, worried. I went back and said, see, this is, if we have a handover sheet, it's just a simple paper. Yes, I know we want to save tree and stuff, but if we have a paper there that it's going to be more or less like this, where we have a patient's name, age, history. For us, we have mobility-wise, if the patient needs a hoist, this thing, what type, full body sling, yes. So that all of us can know. We have the preferred place of care, we say PPD, PPC, which is the preferred place of care and the preferred place of death. If you have all these things, and even if I'm a bank nurse and I come in and say, oh, I have my handover, I looked, then you hand me over what you've done for this patient. So if anything happened, I cannot say, oh, well, I didn't know. Well, you're well informed, you have it written there with you. So knowing this, and I now spoke to her. She said, well, Jenny, now I've seen, because of what happened, she said, okay, fine, you can go ahead with it. Still, you have a lot of resistance. There's a lot of strong people, and they say, well, let's see how it's not going to work and what's on. But putting it in practice now and having it, everyone is coming along and loving it and saying, wow, we didn't thought of it this way. So, in 2007, the National Patient Safety Agency published a report on failure in National Health Service because of the sign of deterioration. Patient who died subsequently there, it concluded that communication was the most significant factor. Because if I hand you over, sometimes we can switch off what we want to hear and what we don't want to hear. I hand you over, you might forget and then, oh, she didn't hand over that. There's no evidence for me to say, well, I did. It's written down, I wrote it down, you wrote it down. If you didn't hear it, someone else will. And sometimes maybe you have like 3 staff nurses, or maybe with healthcare assistants, and some people, maybe me and you, are handing over. If you are there, you say, I did hand it over, isn't it already? You say, yeah, you did. But if it's written and we all see it, you can say, actually, it's here. So there's no denial, so it's written. So knowing this, since we've started putting this up and having this handover sheet, the standard and the safety, which for me is safety and standard of care is the optimus in everything. Because if you have a patient and you ensure that the patient is safe, you're contributing to the patient standard of care. There's nothing more than for you as a nurse to finish your shift and go home happy and knowing that I've done my best. Yes, they are vulnerable, they are old people, but I've done the best I can do for this patient. And you should have done this, I didn't do this. You will be thinking where, why did I do this, why didn't I do this? So you know you've done what you're supposed to do. So for me, that's the ultimate thing. It says handover seems to convey that we nurses often omit particular details when it comes to medical history, which is a very, like, I don't know how to put it, there's so many research that says, if I omit a patient history, especially the primary and secondary history, that there's nothing you can do for that patient if you don't know. If I don't know why you're here, I just know, well, I looked after you today, your name, you're fine. But that's not it. So knowing this, we have continually to improve our safety and care. So for me, for my presentation today, if you didn't take anything away, just take safety. As long as you remember safety for this my presentation, I'll be very, very happy. Thank you very much for listening. Yes.
Thank you. That sounds really good. Can I ask what happens to the sheets at the end of people's shift?
Yes, that's a question which I had marked. At the end of the shift, we ensure we always tell everybody, please don't take it home, because if you take it, sometimes people can, mistakenly. I remember when I was a student, I always fold mine and put it in the bag, so I want to go home and read it, and there's so many medical words I don't know, I want to look it up. But we have like a shredder right there in there, so make sure before you go, please put it back in there. It's like not a task, but just a reminder to everyone to ensure that we that work there constantly know, you put yours in the shredder, they're going to shred it. But for people that don't know, so please, before you leave, just like the medicine key, like you would say, can I have the medicine key? To also remind them, say, please, can you put this in here? Then for the staffs, we update it like daily. Yes, it might be like they're there all the time, but there's changes. You say dressing. Sometimes if you don't hand it over, someone get missed that they didn't do that dressing. It might be a tiny bit of something that say, well, it's dressing, I do it tomorrow. But no, that's the
who updates it?
We, the staff, must update it. So if, for example, if you're night shift, you can do, but if you're late shift and you think there's a time, you can pull up their notes and update it on the computer. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a really interesting project. Do you record any incidents on day shifts?
We do record, if there's incidents, for example, we do record, I'm quite sure you are aware, we do record straight away, near miss, anything you have to. So you have to get to this patient, so you must do it, yes.
Do all the handover, is that just clinical based handover?
It's handover for clinical based in a sense, but it's for like you, that the admin, for example, Rashida is in our place downstairs. You have to know this patient. Because, for example, if a patient is falling, you admin, you're not going to say, well, I'm not a clinical, I'm going to leave this patient to go on the floor. You're in that building, so you have to know about that patient. Even if you don't know in details, like she had A and Z, but you have to know a little bit about that patient. They are there for a long time, so there's no excuse for no one.
I mean, the only reason I'm asking is because before I was in the NHS, I used to work in residential care, and one of the things that they asked me to design was a handover sheet, which was just a double-sided piece of paper, which had the clinical information on one side, and on the other side it had other relevant information that people might need to know, because yes, we do work in a clinical environment, but there's other things that, affect, our daily working lives, things of the states, admin procedures that might need to be consulted. So this is just a kind of suggestion that maybe this could be something that could be included.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I'll get you on that. Thanks. Anyone?
Just a suggestion. Wouldn't it be possible to stand into the show?
Into what?
Instead of shredding, stand it into a secure.
Into a secure thing?
Yeah, for reference.
I think so, yeah. Well, I'm going to pass it on and see what my bias manager thinks. Because if we have, like for us, we have 3 shifts, so you hand over from this shift to another. So if we keep on we have like a box where we put like for example, you do your facts and so on or not. You put it and put it in the archive. But if you start archiving handover sheet, that would be quite a lot of files. Because we have it already in computer. The only thing, you have it there in the system. The only thing that you will not include in the system is what I'm telling you for this shift that I've done for this patient, or maybe A went to hospital, or maybe A had a fall, or this is the only thing that won't be in there, because this is the recent things. But any other thing, their history, their age, why they're there. Well, when we used to have the transition, whether they go from there to rehab, you're looking at 3 weeks, 8 weeks discharge. Then this is the people you have you get yourself bust off because they're going to move out soon, and you have new patient. But for now, it's the long-term thing. So, thank you very much.